I know where you stand on this. It's where I stand. You're on my toes with it, Frank. That's how close we are on this. This trade Cade brigade, I call it. Let's hearken to your tweet from the other day. It was about 2 days ago, I think. Now, maybe yesterday. I don't know. These days
I've sent a couple of them out. So
this is one of them. This is Jim Costa on Twitter. This is you. The Cade trade debate is exhausting.
And I think this was me. I hit a break on the station and was just like, all right, I got to send this tweet.
218 likes. I have friends that would kill somebody for that type of engagement. Here's the complete list of proven superstars that want to come to Detroit to build this up. And it's just blank.
There's nobody.
Yeah, right, which is the point. Oh, you want to trade for picks? You must be some kind of stupid to win the Mega Millions and then spend it all on more lottery tickets. 100% correct. Tell me why you land there. I know, I agree. Tell me why you feel this way. Why is it stupid to even entertain this idea?
Well, and I know some people, it's like this galaxy brain, like, well, you have to have an open mind. And they're like, for the sake of discussion, we should entertain a trade. There is no way, let me repeat, no way to get fair value for the number one pick because you're not a destination. So any player you get is going to be a tier 2 or tier 3 player. That guy's not going to sign long term. You're working with a short fuse. If you go get draft picks, as I put it so bluntly, you win the Mega Millions, and then you're hoping all the picks you get back win the lottery in the future. And you said 51 years, and you're right, 51 years since the last time they had the number one pick. I don't want to trade for second, third, fourth, fifth, or as Zach Lowe, who I respect, put out in a trade, Wiseman, a 7th, and a 14th. So I get Andre Drummond 2.0, the 7th pick where the Pistons pick all the time, and 14, and I'm supposed to say thank you? This is like some galaxy brain idea. In NBA, you look at it, you got superstar players. This isn't a build through the depth kind of deal like in football. You got to get a superstar player. I think sometimes in this town, and I think probably most towns, we look at things through a football lens. And I remember when the Tigers used to be good, every game was a football Sunday, right? Like, oh, they blew it in the 9th inning, and it's under a microscope because football is very much every game is life and death. And I think that same football mindset was taking place with some of these people who want to trade the pick because Lions fans are conditioned. We have 55 needs on a 53-man roster. Trade back and fill the needs. Yeah, the Pistons have a long way to go, but the chief need is get a guy with the ball who can change your franchise. And if I was sitting in a laboratory, I would say, give me a bigger guard, maybe like a point forward, who can dribble, run the offense. And in the NBA, you got to shoot. So shoot well and be able to create your own three. It's Cade Cunningham. I mean, that's who the player is. Maybe you wish he had a little more of an elite first step. If he did, we'd be talking about an all-time great, not just the number one pick. But I look at him and say, that's a guy who can be one of the 10 best players in the sport. He fits the way the NBA's played. You don't trade out of that pick. You take him, you try to build around him, you do everything you can to make him successful, because if he's successful, your franchise is going to be successful.
I agree with everything you said. I do think there is an interesting, not case, because I'm first sitting there, but there's an interesting buzz that is not Joe Shit the Ragman from wherever, Taylor, Michigan, saying we should trade the pick, but is actually legitimately sourced. And I want to get your opinion on this. Are we sure? Okay, we settled. Pistons are dumb to trade it. Been 51 years. Yeah. I agree. You agree. We're done. They're not trading it. They're staying there. I think they should. I think they will. We are not sure, because I trust the people saying it, that Cade's the guy at number one. Because, we pulled a couple of them. We're not going to put them up, but just, Adrian Wojnarowski, ever heard of him? Pretty credible guy. He gets everything right. He said that he talked to Troy Weaver, and Weaver is adamant that they're looking, if they won the first overall pick, which they did, at 4 different guys. That's the most credible reporter in the world for basketball. Locally, James L. Edwards III, good friend of mine, good Spartan, been on the show a few times. He said Troy Weaver is not decided, and we'll look at up to 5 guys, probably 4, but up to 5 guys. James L. Edwards, I'm sure he's been wrong about something, but not since I've been paying attention. That guy is sourced. I think he's getting this stuff directly from Weaver and not smokescreen type stuff. You have the first pick. You don't need a smokescreen. I'm curious where you land on this. 2 credible reports saying that Cade is not a shoo-in. Do you think that there is any question that Cade is the number one guy on your board, in your mind, and also in Troy Weaver's mind, which is what matters, of course, the most?
And I guess here's the biggest thing is, I'm not a basketball exec. I'm not a scout. I think he's the best player in the draft. I think that's the consensus too, by the way. So I can kind of lean on not just me being the be-all, end-all. Most people think Cade's the best player in this draft. I'm fine if Troy wants to do his due diligence, bring in 3 or 4 guys, interview them, work them out, make sure they didn't miss anything. But I actually would lose some respect for him if they passed up on the presumptive, no doubt, number 1 pick in the draft to go with. I mean, who's your guy in that group of the next guys? Is it Jalen Green, who's a scoring machine? He played 15 games in the G League. Maybe he's a better scorer than Cade. He's not a better passer. He's not a better defender. He's not a better rebounder. Do you want Mobley? Bigger guy, can shoot a little bit, but again, doesn't give you that ball dominator who changes the possession in crunch time. Maybe like Suggs. But at that point, I'm getting a shorter, worse shooting point guard. And he's tenacious. I really like him. If the Pistons were picking 3 or 4, I'd be talking myself into Jalen Suggs. But you shouldn't have to talk yourself into the pick when you have number 1. You take the guy that everybody tells you is the best player. Do your homework, fine, but if he passed on him, I actually, for as much praise as we've heaped on Troy Weaver, I would lose some respect for him.
I would pause on the subtraction of respect.
No, you subtract respect.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. I would pause. I didn't say I wouldn't. I said I would pause because the guy got mocked for everything, and he's come up aces again and again and again. Look, the only one to me, and I like Suggs too, but I agree, third or fourth. I haven't seen Jalen Green play, but there's people that I respect that know what they're talking about that think he's going to be like a 30-point per game, just absolute machine offensively. And look, I think Cunningham's a better all-around player. I want Cunningham. I agree with you. I could understand that, but you said exactly what I was thinking about Suggs. It's like I feel like I'm getting a worse version of Cunningham. I think they'll both be very good.
Sure.
But, I
think Toronto's going to be very happy with Suggs.
Yeah,
I mean, they need a point guard. Yeah.
I'm happy. Here's kind of where I settle on this. Cade Cunningham is the best prospect in the draft. We agree there. Yeah. But I have to acknowledge that Troy Weaver is a wild card. This is a guy who does not care what anybody else thinks. And he usually does think, not only does he not care what other people think, he usually thinks differently from the pack. The guy hasn't even been here 12 months, and we've listed myriad examples where everyone disagreed with him. Everyone hated the Jeremy Grant signing. Everybody but me and James Edwards III thought Isaiah Stewart was a dumb pick. We were the only 2 people defending it on Twitter at the time. Look, so the consensus is, you're right, Cade Cunningham is the best. My uninformed, unexpert opinion is in line with that.
Sure.
But you have to acknowledge that this guy has not done anything by the books yet. The next thing he does that matches everyone else's plan will be the first. Short timeline, but the sample size so far, he's like 7 for 7 in bucking what everyone thinks he should do or what's wise. Is there any validity to that? Just saying, look, we don't know what the guy's going to do.
Well, so I liked about him when they hired him, and it's easy to say that now because we're pretty pleased with him. But what I liked was, all right, you're in Oklahoma City. You're not a free agent destination. You have to just draft better than everybody else. And he got a lot of credit for the scouting and the selection of James Harden and Russell Westbrook, 2 elite combo guards. The Pistons need that guy. I mean, no matter how you slice it, it's positionless basketball. Someone with the ball who can create his own shot. If he looks at this draft, I would hope he sees Cade Cunningham as that guy. But that's the biggest need for this team. So if he goes a different direction, I think he's going to have to answer for the critics if it doesn't work out. That's the other thing, right? They always say in football, if you pass up on a quarterback and that guy, plays well, you are ultimately going to be judged not by the guys you pick, but by the guys you don't pick. So it's a big gamble to go away from Cade Cunningham.
I agree. That's a huge risk. I just don't think the guy cares.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And he shouldn't.
He really does not
To be clear, he shouldn't care what anybody puts on their mock draft on the internet. If you have a guy running a team that way, you're in for a really rough time.
Well, I agree that he shouldn't care. And I just said I don't think he does.
Yeah.
I think it's human nature for 99% of people to give a fuck what people say about him. They're very sensitive. Tom Gore is embarrassed on an annual basis with what people are saying, and that guy is out to lunch half the time, doesn't even know what's going on, and even he has some shame about what's happened. So I do think we have that 1 in 100 guy where, look, it would not shock me. It would shock me if it were anybody else making the pick. Troy Weaver can't surprise me at this point. I mean, short of them taking like Aaron Henry first overall, I can't see myself being surprised by anything. But I do think that Cade Cunningham is eventually the guy. I just think if anybody in the NBA was going to surprise us in this spot, it would be Troy Weaver. So I don't know. We'll transition to this. I'm happy with where the Pistons are at.
Yeah.
I've been the biggest Troy Weaver fan. I've been banging that drum so loud. They're hearing me in OKC where they cast him aside. He should have been the GM in that town. But neither here nor there. Let's transition to this.
Oh, before you go to another tab, please like, subscribe, and follow for more clips and highlights. Good? Okay.
See, beautiful. That's a natural at work.